we're going to talk a little bit about finding out that best version of yourself, or we're going to call it what's in the way. What a weird thing to say. What's in the way? We know where we're going, and sometimes we don't. We know what we'd like to see for ourselves, and sometimes we don't. But what we generally do not pay attention to when we're on these journeys is what might get in the way. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things that might get in your way so that if it happens, you're aware of it and you can get in front of it before it sidetracks you. All right? Yes, Dave, this is good. Who knows who David Blaine is? David Blaine is he is a magician slash illusionist. He's a little bit insane, actually. He spent 44 days in a tub of water, drinking only water, just to see if he could do it. And he did. He's generally considered to be one of the top magicians ever, really, in the name of Houdini up there with David Copperfield. And he says that we are all capable of infinitely more than we believe. We're stronger and more resourceful than we know, and we can endure much more than we think we can. What I know about every single one of you, and quite honestly, everybody out there, we are all more capable than we think. If we were to get out of our own way and give ourselves a little bit of a chance, it's amazing what we could accomplish. So know in your own hearts, each and every one of you is capable of everything that you want for yourselves and more. Where are we right now? Well, from what I understand, most of y'all are in high school. And from what I remember, high school can be challenging. We're sitting here just kind of starting to find ourselves, who we are and what we're all about. Ask yourself this question. Are you comfortable with who you are? Thank you for your honesty. It's really interesting. Back in the day when I was in high school, when I was your age, I was a lot younger than I am right now. And quite honestly, I didn't have a clue. It took me a long time to find it. We're just growing into some version of ourselves. We don't know what that looks like. We don't know who we are. We're just doing our best to get up here. Here's a couple of questions for you. Who are you? Really? And then, who do you want to be? Interesting question. Had you ever thought of that? We're just trying to get through the day. Who do I want to be? That's an interesting question. I don't expect you have an answer right now, but hopefully I'm going to leave you with some stuff to think about. And it's going to make some sense when we get done. Remember when we were younger, everyone was always saying, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to be a nurse or a baseball player or a cop or something like that, an astronaut. So I saw this thing and they asked a bunch of kids, what do you want to be? A tattoo artist, a ninja chef. Is there a TV show called Ninja Chef? This guy wants to be a ninja chef. I don't know. You just throw knives against the wall, maybe, and your regular doctor, grave digger. And then there was this one 4-year-old girl. She says, I just want to be me. And everyone was going, wow, do you not understand the question? She said, yeah, I want to be me. Because if I was somebody else, who would be me? Very, very wise. So I'd like to remind you, be yourself, whoever that is. You are here to be yourself. And by the way, everybody else is taken. So you're the only one who can be you. Do the best job you possibly can. While we're here, we do things. This is what we do. So think about your life. What roles do you play? For instance, your kids, you have siblings, friends. Are you on sports teams? Members of what clubs? Any other roles you might play that might not be on this list? See all these different roles, from son to teammate to member of clubs, employee. You know, one thing that is consistent through all of these roles, you. You bring yourself to every single thing that you do. I've done many things. I'm a life coach right now in my career. I used to be in a rock and roll band, toured the country. I still do, not the tour part. I spent some time in high tech. I was a dad, still am, married, not anymore. And every single one of those roles, every single one of those labels, I was the one that was consistent through all of that. And one of the things that we do is that we bring ourselves to everything that we do. The easy way to look at that is the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. The way we show up is the way we show up. So are you a leader? A follower? You just like to hang? Are you always one being a jokester, stirring the pot? You will do that because that's you in everything you do. What is the best version of yourself? Think about that. What feels most authentically you when you're not trying to be anything that you're not? It's hard to identify that. It really is. And I know that's kind of what we said we were going to look at, but we're not. Finding your own identity, finding that best version of yourself is a personal journey. And you are the only one that knows that answer. And you might not know it now. But when you go looking for it, you will trip over it. And when you find it, you'll absolutely know this is me. This is who I'm meant to be. And you're going to be comfortable with that. And no one's going to be able to take you off of that. And then your life is really going to start. It's going to be a beautiful thing. What we're going to do. When we, doesn't matter what we do because we are bringing ourselves to it, pay attention to what's important. Pay attention to what you're drawn to and mix that up with what you're good with. What do you consider fun? And what you want to do will find you. And that will be in line with who you are. One of my favorite quotes is by a guy by the name of Howard Thurman. And he says, don't ask the world what it needs. Ask yourself what lights you up and go do that. Because what this world needs is people that are lit up. And when you do that, you will be an inspiration and you will allow other people to follow their light, to follow their muse. So what are we going to do here? We're going to focus on what can possibly get in the way. Again, we know what we might be looking for, but we don't know what's in the way. So what might that be? One of the first things is something called a limiting belief. Anyone ever heard of a limiting belief? It's basically an idea that you might have learned about yourself or the world, but you've accepted it. You've taken it in and decided that that is the truth of you. For instance, there's not enough something to go around. You've heard that one, right? There's one, girls aren't good at math. Really? But someone might have taken that on as a limiting belief. Others hold me back. Oh, I can't dance. I've got 2 left feet. Look down. Do you really have 2 left feet? You can dance if you want to. You blame it on somebody else. So there's all these thoughts that we carry with us that actually have the potential to get in the way of what it is we're trying to accomplish. And here's some more examples that are a little bit more scary. Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of failure is enough to make you not even get started. Fear that you might not be good enough. Fear that if you do this one thing, people might not like you. Would that stop you from doing what it is you want to do? And look at that last one, fear of success. Really? Yeah, there are people who are afraid to succeed. They get that nice vision of what they want to see in their life. That's great. But what if I get it? Now what? And that's enough to hold people back. So we also have to know that every single person has a gift. Every one of you has a gift. You may or may not know what it is at the time. But if you have a gift, some people it's music and they're gifted. Some people are leaders and they're a gifted leader. Some people just have a great way about them, but they don't want to be obnoxious. It's okay. If you have it, it's not something to brag about. But if you have a gift, it wants to be shared. Something to think about. Where do these limiting ideas come from? Everywhere. We live life, we hear stuff from our family, from our coaches, social media, our society, our friends, everywhere. And we just take it in. A lot of times we don't even know we're taking it in, but we do. And it is the kind of thing that gets into our system. And we're not really always sure how to go about handling it. It's so close to us that we think it's the right way to be. This bottom one, interpretations of interactions, I'm going to talk about that one in a minute. Again, where do the ideas come from? It doesn't matter. You know why? Because they're yours now. So now what? Be aware that you think like this. When you think of something, if it doesn't feel right, just notice it. Don't judge it. It just is. Let me ask you something. Who likes rain? Let me see some hands. You like rain? Okay, good. Is there some people out there don't like rain? Some people do, some people don't. Some are the same. Okay, that's fair. You know what it is about rain? It's your perception. It is just rain. So we get to decide through our eyes, through our brains and our ideas, what it is that we're going to like or not like. But if we just accept it for what it is, we're going to be much better able to deal with it. If you find something out about yourself, a way you're thinking, the way you're perceiving, and you don't like it, that's okay. Notice it, accept it. And that's the first step towards actually resolving that so that you can become more of the person that you want to become. The only thing that keeps you from getting what you want is the stories that we keep telling ourselves. You all heard of Tony Robbins, generally known as one of the most powerful personal coaches and inspirational speakers in history, quite honestly. So I'm going to just touch on these really quick. Assumptions, interpretations, these are a couple of things you could trip over. If we get a chance to visit again, I'll go into more depth about this. Real quick, an assumption is if you tried something and it doesn't work, that might be a belief that will keep you from trying it again. But think about that. It didn't work the first time. That was a different time. You're a different person. Now we're over here. You're a different person. It might work out. Don't let that failure keep you from trying it again. That's how we grow and that's how we get better. Interpretations, that is an idea that there is something out there that we have internalized in such a way that, again, will stop us from taking whatever that next step is. You may have heard that there's three sides to every story. There's your side, there's my side, and there's what really happened. So we don't really know. It's all our interpretation and our perception. Just be aware of these. Don't let them get in your way. This one I'm going to talk a little bit about. We call it an inner critic. Some people call it a roommate, a chatter in your mind, a gremlin. Have you ever had your inner voice just going, wow, look at all this stuff, and it doesn't ever stop, and it tells you, you can't do that, and sometimes it's not very nice. Sometimes, you idiot, how could you possibly do that? And that's crazy. It all goes on. Everybody has it. The thing about this one is it's very, very personal. It's very intense. It doesn't give us a break. And you know what? It sounds just like us. And that's why it's hard, because it's us speaking to us. And we want to be careful with this one. What does it say? Who am I? Who am I kidding? Really? I don't have enough experience. They're going to find out that I can't do this. I don't deserve, I'm not worthy. It all comes down to this one big bucket of I'm not enough. Don't listen to it. You are enough. You're more than enough. But we got to be very honest with ourselves to check this stuff out and not let it stop us. Again, we can be pretty brutal. Have you ever called yourself a name because something happened that you'd rather not have done? Think about this. You wouldn't talk to your friends like that. Don't talk to yourself like that. It's counterproductive. Realize that you might be thinking that. And again, we're coming short on time. So I want to make sure we have time for questions. When you hear this, just assume that it's actually somebody else. It's like an ego thing that is trying for its life and doesn't want you to succeed. It's easier to talk you back than it is to let you go. And that gets a little bit deep, but we can talk about that later. Remember, what we're embarking on when it comes to finding that best version of yourself is it is a journey. It is a long, long journey. It can be a lifelong journey because we are always growing. We are always learning. We're always picking up new experiences. And there's always more inside of us that we can bring forth to be a better version of ourselves, to help other people, to be an inspiration just because we are. I also want to let you know it's not necessarily the easiest task in the world to do this by yourself. Like I said earlier, I'm a life coach in another version of me. And what my job is to help people get inside of themselves, remove these blocks, some of the ones we talked about and more, to help them find what I call their own inner wisdom so that they can find that best version of themselves. And then we help them to support it and to live that life. And I know that when you find your best version, even that next better than you are now, and you live your life authentically and in line with who you truly are, life gets really, really cool. It gets easy, it gets exciting, and it gets to be an awful lot of fun. Again, I want to commend you and I want to applaud you all for being part of this Toastmasters group. The action that you've taken, just showing up here tonight, just being part of this group already puts you ahead of an awful lot of people in this game of finding your best version, of going ahead and finding your way in a positive space to be able to do this. So, hey, keep it up, keep searching, stay aware. Don't judge yourself, but be aware of what you're doing. Stay open and stay true to the you that is the you that you want to be in the future. And you're friends with yourself now. One more thing, you got this. I got a couple of minutes. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, first of all, we should give a round of applause to Mr. Friedman for that very, very, very good workshop. So,
Thanks.
kudos. Anyway, so I mean, does anybody have any questions? I have one, but I'm not exactly sure if it's very that related to what you're asking. Because we were all about to go through the interview process, whether it be for summer programs or college interviews. So. We all want to show our strength during our interviews, but is there a way to do it without sounding like you're brag? But is there a good way to do it without sounding like you're bragging? Because you don't really want to sound like you're bragging during an interview. You want to sound humble, but also show off all your strengths.
If you are, oh, you got me on spotlight. I'm looking at me. Oh, no. You know what? If it's the truth, it's not bragging. It's just what it is. You don't necessarily want to go out and sell yourself. You don't necessarily want to say, oh, I'm all that in a bag of chips. but you do want to tell the truth about you. If you have done this and it seems really, really cool, then you did it. You don't need to brag. You don't need to hold it over anybody, but it is the truth. And you did do it. And if it will help you get that job, let them know.
I think we got some questions in the chat over here. We are from Mr. Chen. What if a kid never really figures out what he or she loves?
Why would that happen? You know, some people some people just love the journey and they bring their life to it. This is a very, very exciting journey. And if you don't find that one thing that you love, then you've done this. Okay, that wasn't it. And you've done this. Yeah, no, not so much. You've done this. Okay, that's not it either. But after a while, look at the experience you've gathered. Look at the life experience you've had the joy of finding. And maybe, just maybe, that's what you love, the journey itself. And that's okay. How much social interaction and people skills are important for an intelligent, knowledgeable person? I wonder if, is it Ryan would mind coming on and explaining that a little bit? Interesting question. Yeah, we'll get to you, Caleb. I'll just say real quick, there's no way to measure how much social interaction. The thing to remember is to be the most authentic you that you can be. If you are an intelligent, knowledgeable person, and that's what really lights you up, then over time, you will naturally attract other intelligent, knowledgeable people to. Again, you don't have to lord it over anybody. You don't have to say, look at me. I'm intelligent. Get to know me. You just go out there. You are who you are, and you will attract the right people that will help to make your life a lot more worth living, to have that interaction, the connection. And there's really no way to measure it. Your people skills, they will come naturally because you're comfortable with who you are. That makes sense? Caleb, do you want to come on and say hi?
Okay, so I was just wondering, like a lot of people say to follow your dreams, correct? And that's not like wrong per se, but sometimes the dreams that people have are just simply unattainable. And I'm just curious about what your perspective is. Like, should you keep following the dream even though you really can't reach it? Or should you change your perspective? Or what should you really do?
There's a couple of different ways to answer that. Great question. Why would a dream be unattainable? First of all,
I don't know, maybe because of a cultural status, like, or maybe like, for example, in a certain culture, the dream is unattainable, or maybe just a personal incapability, not like a disability, but like something, a skill that you're missing, or something that's going to take a long time to acquire. And it will just take lots and lots of time and energy. And you might benefit by doing something else, and you could do something else. I'm not sure.
all of the above. And if you really have a dream, I suggest, especially at this younger age, go for it. There are so many examples of the most unlikeliest of dreams that have come true, from 4-year-olds playing at Carnegie Hall to, I don't know if you remember, there's a guy by the name of Spud Webb. He's 5'6", was a star in the NBA playing against 7-footers. There's a guy, his name is Vucic. He doesn't have any arms. He doesn't have any legs. He's an inspirational speaker. He swims. He goes skydiving. He water skis. He's not letting his disability get in the way of him. So what is the dream? And there's always, you see these guys with no arms playing guitar because they learn to play with their feet. So there's really nothing that would get in the way of your dream if it is strong enough and if it pulls you enough to it. Another way to look at it is what is behind the dream? What is on the other side of the dream itself? And I'm going to use a car because I think this is a pretty easy example. Let's say you want to get a really cool, really fast car. That's your dream. Why? What is it about that car that is your dream? Is it because it's cool? Is it because it's fast? How does it make you feel? What does it mean to you? And sometimes if we get, again, behind what the actual dream is, then you can find what it is that you're looking for. It just looks a little bit different than you originally thought. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. That made a lot of sense. Thank you.
Good. Future leader, you got your hand up?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Friedman, for all of the insightful advice. And I feel like all of the answers have benefited our members as well. I have a personal question, and that's relating to when you're pursuing these goals. Some of us are bound to feel some anxiety, some stress, some worrying as well. And sometimes, at least in my experience, that level of worry and that level of anxiety just becomes it well, it seems insurmountable. What's your advice for that?
I believe that there is no need ever for worry. Worry is negative energy. The energy of worry out in the universe, there's a funny little saying about that, is a prayer for something that you don't want. What are you worried about? Because if you could do something about it, then why worry? You'll take care of it. And if you can't do anything about it, then why worry? Because you can't do anything about it. So if you find yourself in that position, I would suggest worry is an unnecessary emotion. As far as anxiety and being anxious, some people do work better under pressure. So instead of letting that anxiety throw you for a loop, you take it, you stay up all night and get that homework done, or you get that presentation done, or you use it to your advantage and then let it go. So I'm seeing that difference between worry and anxiety. Anxiety is probably close to worry, but it's a little bit on the other side where you can use that to get your adrenaline going and get the job done. But I would say worry, we don't need any. I think we've probably come close to time.
Yeah,
Ethan knows how to get a hold of me. I will make myself open for email questions if you like. There's another one that just came up. Should we do that, or what do you want to do?
I mean, I think we could do that one last one because we're already slightly over time. And then after that, I think we could transition to the regular meeting.
What I would say, Ron, is it Ryan? What I would say, you're calling it a fear. So let's go right into it. What's there to be afraid of? What's the worst thing that could happen in this situation? And is it really the worst thing that could happen to you? So you could step up and face it. And communication is necessary. But again, there's really nothing to fear because what can possibly happen to you in the midst of this communication? That's my short answer. If you'd like to talk about it more, Ethan knows how to get a hold of me.
once again, let's give a round of applause for Mr. Friedman's very great workshop. Oh, yeah, also, we just got this made. Did everybody see? We got the SWIC new certificate that we have at the end of every workshop. Again, thanks, Mr. Friedman, for the very insightful workshop. Yeah, we all get to enjoy the SWIC new certificate that Alvin has very kindly made for us. So,
Thank you guys.